Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today for day 48 of the UK lockdown, where currently I'm out and about, taking my exercise first thing in the morning to try and avoid the crowds and maintain social distancing. And I'm bringing you guys along for the ride, albeit vicariously. Now, it's currently about 9 o'clock as I'm making this particular vlog. The weather is not as good and as gorgeous as it has been over the past 7 or so weeks of me making these vlogs. I am out in the countryside once again, and I'll explain why in a moment, but I'll just quickly turn the camera around and show you what the weather's like today and the gorgeous scenery that's in front of me. Now, as you can see though, the weather's a little bit grey, it's a little bit overcast, and you can probably hear the wind in the background there rustling through the trees. I've had to come to a wooded area once again to try and use it as a natural wind muff because it is very windy out there. Now, the reason I've come out to the countryside this morning, that wasn't my original plan. My original plan was to return to the area where I started making all these vlogs from, or vlogs as I like to call them. And as many of you know, we've been following this series right from the beginning. I did make a promise to you guys that I would try and capture a wild deer that lives in that area, not too far away from my home, on camera, because it's a magnificent sight. And the idea was, with this being the last Sunday of this series of videos, because it'll wrap up in 2 days' time on day 50, I was going to get my stall set out, I was going to get out up at a Sparrows Fort and go and get that boxed off. Unfortunately, when I awoke and I had a quick shave and I'd got my walking shoes on, I thought I'll just check the old camera, make sure the batteries are charged as I always do. And I realised that the camera battery was flat, it was totally discharged. I don't know what's happened with that, don't know why that's happened, but there you have it. It's just one of those things. I did put the camera on charge as I normally do, but it didn't work out, so I've had to come out into the countryside today, and a bit later than I normally would make these particular vlogs. So, here I am, basically, exploring with Clive. If you're watching this, I'm in your neck of the woods at this moment in time, sir. I'm on Harrock Hill, which isn't too far away from where you are, and I'm not too far away from the windmill ruins. They're just to my left there. For anybody who's interested in these windmill ruins, I'll put a link to a video that I did almost 3 years ago now, when I first started making vlogs and things like that, and you'll be able to see how I have evolved over 3 years, my presenting style, the type of equipment I'm using, and things like that. So it's an interesting little look back. For me, it's cringe-worthy, but you guys might find it interesting. Anyway, enough rambling, on to today's vlog. Of course, it's day 48, as I've already stated, and the big news is that Boris Johnson will be making his speech at 7 PM this evening, and he'll be unveiling his roadmap, as he likes to call it, to exiting the lockdown, or unlockdown, as he's trying to state. And it'll be interesting to see just what we will be able to do and what we'll not be able to do, to be honest. I know that Wales have already stated that they intend reopening garden centres, libraries, and you'll be allowed to exercise more than once a day, which is the current status quo. It'll be unlimited exercise, providing you maintain social distancing rules. So it'll be interesting to see if England follow suit. They've already indicated in the media and the press that that is where they want to go as well, but it'll be officially confirmed this evening. Now, another thing that they're going to debate and they're going to bring up is face masks, face coverings. I know many of you out there have many thoughts on this. Some of you think it's a fantastic idea. Others don't think it's such a good idea for your own reasons, medical reasons being one of them. And my own take on it is I do not think that the government will force this issue. And the reason for that is they will not want to get into the what-ifs, the what-abouts and things like that. They also know that at present it's hard to obtain face masks. You know, they're just too expensive and you just can't get hold of them. Even the NHS are struggling, so to make it compulsory is nonsensical. But I do think they'll make it advisory on things like public transport, when you go out to the supermarket or anywhere where there is likely to be more people congregating than somewhere where I'm currently at. I don't think you'd have to wear one if you was walking through the fields or something like that. It'd just be ridiculous, wouldn't it? But I think that's where they'll go with face masks. But please leave your comments below regarding what you would like to see reopened and what things you think should stay closed. Because in America now, they're reopening things like restaurants and things like that. I think Donald Trump's slogan is, let's reopen America again. You know, a play on his old campaign slogan of let's make America great again. They're going down that road. And many Americans are now worried. They're actually worried about where this is going to go because the medical experts are saying one thing and Donald Trump is saying another. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this. You know, I mean, he didn't do himself any favours with his bleach comments, did he, where he said about injecting bleach into people. That's scary. It's like something from a Hammer House horror movie, isn't it? But he is caught between a rock and a hard place, just as Boris Johnson is and any other leader, because they've got to balance the health and well-being of the nation with the economic well-being of the nation as well. So it's very hard because on one shoulder they've got people turning around and saying, what about our health and things like that, you know, keeping people safe. Then on the other shoulder they've got other people turning around and saying livelihoods of these people, that well-being in that respect. So it's very difficult for them really. But do you think America's trying to run before it can walk? I personally do, and I was watching a YouTuber, one of my favourite YouTubers over in America, and he sort of does the sort of stuff that I do, but over in America. He's more successful, admittedly, than I am. But he was almost in tears because he just didn't know which way to go. You know, he was listening to what the medical experts had to say, and then he was listening to what the government had to say. And he just didn't know what to do, really. And he was in tears. And I think there's a lot of people in this country who are in that same boat and can sort of feel and identify with what he was going through. All I think anybody can do, and this is what I'm going to do, is you've got to go with your gut feeling of what you think is right. I mean, once we do start coming out of lockdown, I am going to continue maintaining social distancing. As I've stated at the beginning of these particular vlogs, I've been doing social distancing most of my life. You know, coming out to places such as this, where there is nobody, and just getting away from it. So it doesn't make a big impact on me. But I think you've got to go with what you think is right. If you don't feel comfortable with something, then you shouldn't do it, irrespective of what the advice is. You know. But yeah, I think I'll leave that one with you. You know, what do you intend doing when all this it slowly starts to wind down? Will you feel confident enough to go out to a restaurant again? I must admit, that's something that, although I'm looking forward to doing, it's something that I will be reluctant to do, let's say that. We'll just have to wait and see, because obviously there's a pressure of me other half, Mrs H. She may want to do that. We'll just have to discuss it when that time comes, won't we? Anyway, folks, I'm now slowly moving up to the old 10-minute mark, so I'm going to slowly start to wind this one up, and I'll leave you until day 49 of the UK lockdown, when we should have more information from Boris Johnson's speech, and we can digest all that information, can't we, and we can discuss it and things like that. So I'm going to leave it here, I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm just going to slowly make my way towards this windmill ruin, and I'll show you that. And then I'll leave a link at the end for the original video that I did. And I'll leave it until day 49. So, folks, until then, I'll bid you a fond farewell. Stay safe as always. And bye-bye for now.